Welcome to a journey that might unsettle the familiar. A journey not of desecration, but of revelation. In this episode, we delve into one of the most influential institutions in Western history, the Roman Catholic Church. But this is not a history in marble and gold. This is the story beneath the surface, a tale of masks, of borrowed robes, of myths resurrected and deities renamed. Catholicism as we know it did not emerge in a vacuum. It was not born solely from the words of Jesus of Nazareth. Instead, it is the product of centuries of fusion, spiritual traditions woven together, old gods repurposed and rituals redesigned to fit a new narrative. This video is an act of spiritual archaeology. We peel back the sacred layers to uncover how the solar cults of Rome, the mother goddesses of Egypt, the ecstasy of Dionysus, and the mysteries of Persia all contributed to the mosaic we now call Catholicism. Not as a conspiracy, but as a process, deliberate, imperial, and deeply human. We draw upon the work of scholars, mystics, and historians, from Joseph Campbell's mythological insights to Elaine Pagel's exploration of the Gnostics, from Carl Jung's archetypes to Mircea Eliade's religious history. Each layer reveals a religion that is not singular, but syncretic, and not pure but potent. This is not an attack on faith. It is a light turned inward. A mirror held up to an institution draped in incense and Latin, power and penitence. So if you've ever wondered what lies beneath the Vatican's gilded halls, stay with us. The truth may be older than you think. Chapter 1. The Pagan Roots. Beneath the Cross. 2,000 words. To understand Catholicism, we must first understand Rome, the empire, its gods, and its religious life. Before Christ, Rome was a melting pot of deities. From Jupiter and Mars to Cybele and Isis, the city embraced a vast pantheon. Religion was less about personal salvation and more about civic duty, ritual, and cosmic order. In the early Roman Empire, one cult stood out, Mithraism. Imported from Persia, the cult of Mithras was a mystery religion reserved for men, especially soldiers. It featured initiation rites, a sacred meal of bread and wine, and the image of a savior god who slays a bull, echoing themes of sacrifice and rebirth. Mithras's birthday was celebrated on December 25th, the winter solstice, when the sun is reborn. Temples to Mithras have been found beneath churches in Rome, including one beneath San Clemente. The similarities to Christian rituals are striking yet not coincidental. Meanwhile, the Egyptian goddess Isis had already captured Roman imagination. She was called the Queen of Heaven, the Virgin Mother, the comforter of the sorrowful. Her image, nursing her divine son Horus, would later echo in depictions of Mary and baby Jesus. The Dionysian cults brought ecstasy and communion with the divine through wine, dance, and symbolic resurrection. Dionysus, god of wine, god who dies and returns, shares motifs with Christ. The communal meal of bread and wine, the breaking of social boundaries, and the promise of transcendence. Rome was ripe for a new religion, not entirely new, but one that could gather these myths and channel them into one. Christianity became that vessel. Jesus the Christ and the solar archetype. Jesus of Nazareth was a real man, but Jesus the Christ, the figure enshrined in liturgy and icon, is more than a historical teacher. He is an archetype, constructed with layers of symbolism that mirror older traditions. Consider the solar hero, Horus, Mithras, and even Apollo, all figures tied to the sun, to death and rebirth. Jesus' birth is fixed on December 25th, the solstice. Despite biblical scholars agreeing that date is symbolic, not historical, it marks the return of light to a darkened world. The number 12 appears consistently. 12 apostles, 12 tribes of Israel, 12 signs of the zodiac. The cross itself may represent the intersection of celestial forces, the equinoxes and solstices. The resurrection narrative echoes older myths, Osiris, Tammuz, Adonis. Each descends to the underworld, suffers death and returns, signifying hope and regeneration. Even the Eucharist, the body and blood of Christ, finds analogues in pagan rituals. The Dionysian wine, the Mithraic meal, the bread offerings to Demeter. Symbolic consumption of divinity was an ancient practice. Given new meaning under Christianity, Christ became the new sun, the light of the world. Church fathers like Justin Martyr acknowledged the similarities, arguing that pagan myths were distortions of the truth, which Christianity finally revealed. But a deeper reading suggests continuity. not just coincidence. The empire converts and reconstructs. The turning point came with Constantine. In 312 AD, he claimed a vision of the cross before battle, leading to his conversion. But Constantine's Christianity was pragmatic. It was a tool to unify a divided empire. The Council of Nicaea in 325 AD was the theological rebranding of empire. Jesus was declared of the same substance as God, establishing the Trinity and stamping out alternative views. This was not spiritual consensus. It was imperial decree. The Nicene Creed established orthodoxy, condemning Arianism and other interpretations. The Roman Church became the arbiter of truth, absorbing, redefining and outlawing what lay outside. To win hearts, Rome baptized old rituals. The pagan Saturnalia morphed into Christmas. Spring fertility festivals became Easter. Temples were rededicated to saints. Rome's transition was not from paganism to Christianity, but from visible gods to veiled ones. Even the priesthood mirrored older roles, vestments, incense, processions. The Pope became Pontifex Maximus, the old title of the pagan high priest. Christianity was not replacing Rome, it was becoming Rome. Mary and the goddess archetype. While Jesus mirrored solar saviors, Mary absorbed the ancient goddess. She is called the Mother of God, Queen of Heaven, Star of the Sea. These titles belong to Isis, Inanna, Artemis, and other divine feminines. Her image, often shown in blue robes with outstretched arms, directly parallels Isis. In 431 AD, the Council of Ephesus declared Mary Theotokos, God-bearer. Ephesus was once the site of the great temple of Artemis. The mother goddess was simply renamed. Marian devotion grew rapidly. Pilgrimage sites appeared where once goddess worship had flourished. Statues of Isis and Horus were reinterpreted as Mary and Jesus. The Virgin absorbed the sacred feminine. She mediates between humanity and divinity. Like ancient goddesses, she appears in visions, heals the sick, and comforts the suffering. In her, the goddess returned, disguised in Christian iconography, saints, relics, and pagan continuities. The saints replaced the pantheon. Each saint had a domain: the healing, travel, agriculture, mirroring the roles of pagan deities. Relics became the new sacred objects: bones, garments, and blood, imbued with miraculous power, echo the talismans and totems of ancient religions. Pilgrimage to saintly shrines replicated the sacred journeys to temples and oracles. The veneration of saints paralleled the cult of heroes and demigods. Holy days were aligned with seasonal festivals. All Saints' Day near Samhain, Candlemas near Imbolc. Christianization did not erase the old calendar. It rebranded it. Sacred sites like wells, groves, and hills were baptized. What once belonged to the Druids or the Sibyls now bore a cross. Philosophy and power, the Platonic Church. Theology did not grow from the Gospels alone. It absorbed Greek philosophy, especially Plato and the Neoplatonists. Plato's world of eternal forms influenced the Christian heaven. The soul's ascent, the imperfection of matter, and the hierarchy of being entered Christian cosmology. Augustine, once a follower of Manichaeism, merged Platonic thought with Christian doctrine. Evil became absence of good. The soul's journey became central. The Trinity itself echoes Platonic triads. The One, the mind, the soul, God the Father, Son, and Spirit follow a philosophical template. This blending served power. A hierarchical cosmos justified a hierarchical church. Heaven mirrored empire. The esoteric layer, mysticism, Gnosticism, and hidden teachings. Not all early Christians agreed with orthodoxy. The Gnostics believed in inner revelation, divine sparks within. They saw Christ not as a sacrifice but as a revealer. Gnostic texts like the Gospel of Thomas emphasized knowledge, gnosis, over belief. Salvation was awakening, not obedience. Orthodoxy rejected this. The Gnostics threatened the monopoly on truth. Their texts were buried, only rediscovered in 1945 at Nag Hammadi, yet esoteric threads persisted. Catholic mystics like Meister Eckhart, Teresa of Avila, and John of the Cross explored inner divinity. Symbols, rituals, and sacraments retained hidden meanings. Alchemy, astrology, and Hermeticism found refuge within monastic libraries. The Church condemned them outwardly but preserved their knowledge inwardly. The Mask and the Mystery. Catholicism as mythic structure. Joseph Campbell described myth as the song of the universe, and Catholicism is a grand symphony. It provides structure, initiation, transcendence. Its stories echo ancient myths, Its rituals enact cosmic drama. Carl Jung saw in Catholic symbols the archetypes of the psyche. Mary is the anima, the devil, the shadow, the Mass, a ritual of integration. Catholicism endures not because it's false, but because it's mythically powerful. It speaks to the soul, and even as it masks its origins. The Church became the stage upon which humanity's oldest stories are played. In Latin, in robes, in incense, it is a religion of memory. Conclusion, toward a clearer light. What have we uncovered? Not a fraud, but a fusion. Not a lie, but a layered truth. Catholicism is not solely Christian. It is a spiritual mosaic, Roman, Egyptian, Greek, Persian. Its power lies in its synthesis. It took the symbols that moved humanity and gave them new names. It adapted to empire, absorbed philosophy, and conquered the sacred. To know this is not to destroy faith, but to deepen it, to see the Virgin and recall Isis, to taste the Eucharist and remember Dionysus, to pray and feel the weight of centuries. This is an invitation to look deeper, to seek the eternal within the temporal, to honor the myth without mistaking it for history. Catholicism is a spiritual Frankenstein, stitched from sacred flesh, pulsing with ancient life, and in its eyes, if you dare to look, you might see yourself reflected. Thank you for watching.